Hello, and welcome to this week's Root Cause Clinic. So, thank you to those who have submitted their questions. Um, just a handful today, so we're going to get started on those. So, the first one, Sarah. My 16-year-old daughter has been diagnosed with multiple anxiety disorders and is currently struggling. Doctor wants her to try SSRIs, but I'm really not keen as she's so young. Is there anything I can do to help her? Yeah, I mean, as you are well aware, medication is going to be a bit of a slippery slope, so we want to try and avoid that as best as we can. Two kind of routes here that I probably take. So one is going to be looking at the subconscious mind and the beliefs that she may hold. I'm well aware, this is a personal story here, that with my daughter, I have been very much, be careful. Oh, don't do that. Oh, watch out. Oh, do you want me to help you? And that's not to shame anyone that does that. That's obviously comes from a place of love and caring. But I know by being like that, what I'm subconsciously telling my daughter is, I don't think you're capable. She's hearing she's not safe. I can't trust that I can handle this. I can't trust that I'm capable here. I need help. I cannot trust myself. And these are the subliminal messages that are coming through that behavior versus how I am with my son. My son being the second child now, a bit more experienced, a bit more relaxed. You'll be fine. Oh, you fallen? Yeah, yeah. Just dust yourself off. Get on with it. Nice. Completely different. I'm already seeing the changes in them. He's doing his own thing, very independent already. He's one. He's just cracking on. My daughter always looks to me before she makes a decision. Can I do this, mum? Is this okay, mum? Should I do it like this? And I know where that's come from, and it's unfortunate. And that is just that is the product of my parenting style at that point and my behaviour. And that's just how I think we all are kind of maybe with our first children. It's a learning experience. So the first thing I would say is, and this is not to say that this applies to you, it may not. You may listen and think, I was never like that. That's okay. It's just to put this on your radar if you resonate with any of that. That she might be having some programs, subconscious programs or beliefs that she's holding that's holding her back now later in life. It might be that she doesn't feel safe to make these decisions. It might be that she feels like she's not capable to handle situations. I know actually from my own experience, I used to feel I didn't quite know it was anxiety, that I didn't kind of give it that label at that point. But now I reflect and I look back, and it probably was that. But I very much felt I wasn't capable of certain things, and so I would avoid that situation. Most of it being around conversations with people. The idea of going into a room with lots of people and having to make small talk and thinking, oh, what would I say? And even if someone was talking to me, rather than listening, I would be panicking, thinking, what am I going to say next in this conversation? I remember having my first job in a supermarket, and the like someone come over to me, a customer, and said, oh, where can I find X product? I couldn't look them in the eye. I was so chronically shy. I could not look them in the eye. And I remember just saying, aisle three, this squeak, aisle three. And off they went. And it was just, that was my worst nightmare. But I found myself in a job that was customer facing, and I had to face that. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because over time I did get more confident. Now I talk on stages, like now I'm on social media talking to thousands of people, and making content for these people, and in my membership and hosting and all these things. So I've come so far, but I can see how I was holding these beliefs. I did lots of subconscious work, lots of reprogramming, and one of, I mean, one, it's putting yourself in these situations to overcome them, but not in a way that's overwhelming or creating too much fear. It's very gentle, gentle. And I think if I hadn't of, for example, having that job, that could have led somewhere very different if I had spent my whole life avoiding those situations. But also doing hypnotherapy. And so accessing my subconscious mind to reprogram that to say you are safe, you are capable, you are confident. So basically, long and short of it is, hypnotherapy could be something to explore. It could just be that she just needs to understand that she is capable. And this is the thing, you can consciously think that you are. You can think, I'm fine. Like, yeah, of course I can. Of course I can. This is another silly one I used to have. I used to fear putting petrol in my car. Just absolutely hated the idea of it. But on the surface, of course I can go put petrol in my car. But there was something subconscious that was making me feel that way and creating fear in my body at the thought of doing that action. So it's not always as simple as just telling ourselves, of course I'm capable, of course I can do it. Because it just is so deep rooted and it stems. Because the thing is, over 90% of our subconscious mind, what it holds, the beliefs, the programs, are formed in the first 7 years of life. So often we have no idea what programs and beliefs we're operating from. But how we are showing up in life and how our life looks has a direct relationship on the beliefs and programs that we hold. They are driving our habits and our actions and our decisions every single day. So I would just consider that as a component that might be worth exploring, might not. If you do want to have a look at hypnotherapy, there is an amazing woman called Marissa Peer, and she just has like hypnotherapy tracks that you can purchase on her website, download them, and then just listen to them before bed each night. So it's such a non-invasive, easy thing to implement. You have to listen to them for at least 21 days in order to reprogram the subconscious mind. That is the minimum that it takes. Longer, ideally, but at least 21 days. And the reason I say that is don't get a week in and think that's not changed anything, because it doesn't work that quickly. So that's quite a nice simple one to do. And the reason it's before bed is because as your brain goes from being awake to sleeping, that transition, that's when the program is much more likely to get in and make changes. You need to be in that certain brain state. The second thing is the gut. So the gut and brain communicate daily via the vagus nerve. The condition of the gut and the microbiome and the types of organisms that are in the gut directly influence and impact the type of communication that goes to the brain. So if we are having negative communication, negative thoughts, depressing thoughts, like people that have depression, or anxious thoughts, worrying thoughts, scary thoughts, all these negative thoughts can be influenced by the makeup of the microbiome. So with people that have anxiety and depression disorders, the gut is always a major, major, major component and something that's like number one to be addressed. So that'll be my other thing. And obviously you can go on a complete overhaul, but mostly obvious one is going to be, how is she eating? Because I think being 16, being a teenager, again, my personal experience, this might not apply, but I know, obviously still living at home, I would eat mum's food and be like, yep, I'm healthy, got lovely dinner, thanks mum. And then I'd be going out and I would be spending pocket money on chocolate and on junk food because I didn't get it at home. And so I was desperate to get it any opportunity I could. And there was one point where I was having about 3 chocolate bars a day. I don't know if this is the case, but again, just looking at what is she eating, because that could be quite a quick, easy win. Not to stereotype, but I do think a lot of teenagers will just pick something that's tasty, that's quick, that's easy, grab a sausage roll, grab a chocolate bar. They don't really have the understanding at that age, perhaps, or even maybe concerned about their health, because when you're a teenager, you're in good health. You have, for the most part, good energy, and it doesn't really need to be at the forefront of your mind. So just considering what she's eating, I'm sure at home she's having a fantastic diet. It's just, is there more going on when she's out of the home? Because that will be having a big impact if she is having lots of refined processed foods, or if she's 16, maybe alcohol. I don't know what age they start drinking these days. And fermented foods. If you can bring fermented foods in, because if you're making the meals each night, just add in some sauerkraut, some kimchi, asking if she'll just have a bit of kefir. That would go a long way without having to do, a big overhaul and a whole big gut healing program, because that is going to mean, a lot of restriction in the diet temporarily, taking various supplements and powders. And that's not to say, if you can do that, please do consider it. If you're I think you're in the academy, aren't you? So there's the gut healing lessons from Kathy. So you can absolutely apply those with your daughter. But just to kind of get the ball rolling or make it a bit less invasive, then fermented foods would go a long, long way. Just try and add them at each meal in some capacity. Maybe kefir with the breakfast and then some sauerkraut and kimchi with the lunch and evening meal. But just start very gradually, just, half a teaspoon, tiny amounts, and then work your way up. So that'd be my advice, the gut and potentially some sort of, belief or subconscious program that's kind of holding her back in that way. With the medications, if it's possible to hold off on those while you kind of look into these areas, please do. Only you can assess that though, because it might be a situation where this has become so life limiting for her that you might feel temporarily it's needed. And I think the key is if we are looking to try and address things at the root, it justifies medication a bit more because it's like, look, do you know what? Temporarily, this is necessary. What? And then, we're going to get to the root of it so that longer term, this isn't going to be the case. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you're her mum. You can hopefully make that decision and weigh everything up. So that was our question. Should we align the detox protocols during certain phases of a menstruation cycle? So, textbook, no. Like, kind of like a broad answer would be no need. Just following the process that's laid out in the academy with the breaks between certain organs and, the various supports and all of that is sufficient. However, the caveat would be if you are someone who, when you're on your period, you are fatigued, you are maybe having painful periods, there's a lot going on for you and you just feel so drained, then, and it turns out that a protocol is due over your period, for you, it's more about how you feel. If that's how you feel during your period, I would then skip that. Just let your body have that time to rest because the period is a form of detox in itself. So for some people, adding a protocol on top of that is just going to be far too much. So it's more of a case by case basis. Like for me, I don't actually notice when I'm on my period. I don't really have anything that holds me back in that way. So I'll be more than happy to do a protocol over my period. And I've had lots of clients who have had this conversation and they are also quite comfortable to do that. But there are going to be people that it's not going to work for and it is going to be too much. So it's more about just being intuitive with you and sort of checking in, does my body want this right now? Or does it actually just want to rest and recover and just rather than pushing more, which what detox will do, right? Is pushing, isn't it? It's like pushing to detox more. If that's not what you're feeling called to do and it's not right for you, that would be more how I would answer this question as opposed to is there kind of a standard, this is how it should flow with the cycle? Not really. So I hope that kind of answers that one. And then the final question, is there a cause for stubborn belly fat? I'm slim everywhere apart from my lower belly and I'd have to get very skinny to lose it. So I'm just wondering if it was a toxic load thing. So this is very often linked to hormone imbalances. So there's normally three hormones that are involved in this. High cortisol. So it might just be that your body is feeling quite stressed and you might need to bring in some kind of like stress management tools to help you. Are you getting enough sleep? It could be toxicity that's causing stress. It could be some nervous system dysregulation. Something is causing stress on the body, which is resulting in high cortisol. That's one potential. It could be high insulin. So it could be that you're more sensitive to insulin resistance. I don't know if you have much refined food in your diet. Do you do strength training? Because that is fantastic for helping to regulate blood sugar. Going for a walk after meals, that's also another great way to balance blood sugar. Balancing your meals properly as well. Make sure there's enough protein, fat, and carbs at every meal. So that's another one. And then the final one is estrogen, if it's too high or too low. So basically, if there's some sort of imbalance of estrogen, that can also result in the stubborn belly fat and the accumulating in that area specifically. And so in order to balance hormones, the number one best method is to cleanse the liver flushing. But you can also do liver drainage work, so the coffee enemas, the castor oil packs, the liver herbs. But ultimately, liver flushing is how we're going to really make the bigger shifts in terms of hormone balancing. With kind of like your second best thing to do here is supporting your adrenals. Are you having not lots, but are you having coffee regularly, like caffeine? Because that will hamper the adrenals. And that will also actually cause stress on the body. So, that could be an easy one. If you're having coffee, get that out of your diet. You might find that alone resolves this. Where was I? Oh, yeah, the adrenals. Yeah, having adrenal cocktails, having enough minerals in your diet, good hydration. So liver and adrenals will really help balance estrogen and get that at a more appropriate level. And yeah, looking at your blood sugar levels, keeping those balanced, and cortisol, just identifying if there's any sort of stresses on the body. And if there's nothing obvious in terms of your lifestyle, then it could be toxicity, or parasites, or there's something, metals, there's something, or your nervous system, there's something else going on inside that's causing that stress. It doesn't have to be I've got deadlines at work, or it hasn't got to be that sort of environmental outside of our stress. It can be an internal stress, but basically to put that on your radar, it's normally a hormone, some sort of hormones going on there that would make it specifically there. Which is why you often find women that go into the menopause, they do find it very difficult to start shifting weight on their stomach, or it starts appearing, the fat there, and they're like, oh, they call it like the apple shape. You start going more apple shape when you go into the menopause, and that's just because your estrogen drops. So as I say, if it's high or low, that can cause it. So that's all the questions, I believe. Yeah, that's it. So I hope that was helpful, everyone. We'll get this uploaded, and then I'll see you all next week for another session of the Root Cause Clinic.